And joining me now is Democratic Congressman from Illinois, Raja Krishnamoorthi. He's also the ranking member of the Select Committee on China. Congressman, I want to start with your reaction to some new polling. This latest poll shows President Biden's approval rating at an all-time low now. This poll shows only 3 in 10 Americans say Biden is paying enough attention to the issues that are most important to them. I wonder, do you think the president's record is strong enough for him to run on? Does he need a new message?
I think his record is excellent. I think that at this point, I'm hoping that the campaign tries to get the message out about the record, but also makes it clear to voters that a lot of challenges remain, and he's the best person, best positioned to deal with those remaining challenges.
The other side of that coin is the contrast argument. The president makes it all the time, but we're seeing this continued disturbing rhetoric by the former president, Donald Trump, most likely nominee to face Joe Biden. The Biden campaign has compared what's come out of Trump's mouth recently to Hitler and Nazi Germany. We've yet to see those kinds of comments having any negative effect on Trump in the polls. And I wonder if you have a theory as to why that is and what you think about the Republicans who've been defending or even just ignoring that kind of rhetoric.
I don't have a theory, but what I do know is that, among the folks that I talk to, I think independent voters, statements such as Trump's statement that immigration poisons our nation's blood is deeply disturbing to them. And I think that that type of statement really points to their severe concerns about what Trump would mean for our democracy going forward. And I think that as the months pass and people become more focused on the election, I think that these will also translate into kind of sharpened choices that voters have to make between Trump and other candidates, including President Biden, obviously.
You're on the Oversight Committee as well. When you come back, House Republicans are set to, or at least they're setting the table as though they plan to, ramp up their impeachment inquiry. They've been trying for some time. But I wonder, given how politicized this process has become, if you think the idea that articles of impeachment will be brought forward, will be voted on, or is basically inevitable at this point.
I don't know. I hope it's not. But I know that the Republicans are listening to Donald Trump, and they want Donald Trump wants them to move forward with these articles of impeachment. But as I know, having listened to hours of testimony in the Oversight Committee and having seen the quote unquote evidence, there's not a shred of evidence implicating the president in any high crimes or misdemeanors. And so this is a big fishing expedition. I think it would backfire against the Republicans.
Do you think it was a mistake for Hunter Biden to blow off his subpoena and not testify behind closed doors like we saw in the 2019 impeachment?
I don't think so. I think that what he said, based on what I understand, is that he said, I'm happy to testify, but I'd like to testify in the open so that people can see exactly what I have to say. And given the Republicans' track record of distorting deposition testimony or selectively leaking it, I think that his move to ask for an open deposition made a lot of sense.
All right, I want to switch gears here a little bit. I've been probably on the opposite side of the politicized spectrum here from the Oversight Committee is the China Select Committee, where you're the ranking member. That's been probably the most bipartisan committee in this Congress. I wonder, given everything we've watched go on in Washington over these last couple of weeks, how do you think Chairman Xi is viewing some of these struggles in Washington, whether it be all the changes in House leadership to Congress failing so far to fund our allies like we've promised?
I think they relish this kind of dysfunction. I think their theory about America, for that matter, and Congress in particular, is that we are hopelessly divided, that we're tribal, we can't focus on any long-term challenges, and that we can't unify around potential threats. And so when they see us dilly-dallying on aid to Ukraine or aid to Israel, when they see all these leadership changes, especially the lack of a speaker for weeks and weeks, I think that it only reinforces their beliefs, but also it provides material for them for propaganda purposes around the world.
They've had leadership challenges, too. I think they still don't have a defense minister. We had some reporting last week that military hotline that was supposed to be reinstated after President Biden met with Xi, that's yet to be done. It's been more than a month now since that meeting. Do you think President Biden got as much as we sort of thought he got, as much as the White House advertised that he got out of that meeting? What do you make of that development, given the sort of cool status between the two militaries?
I think there's some steps in the right direction, but you're correct that we want to see actions match words. And unfortunately, Xi Jinping in the past has said one thing to us and then done something different, or he said one thing to us and said something different to a different audience. And so our concern is that this time around, he follow through on his commitments, whether it's with regard to the military-to-military communications channel or working on the fentanyl efforts to stop fentanyl precursor chemicals being shipped from China to the Sinaloa cartel or others in Mexico.
Yeah, a major issue there, too. You guys just rolled out your list of recommendations, kind of, I guess, an interim report, if you will, on ways to reset the economic relationship with China, decouple the two economies. What's your sense of how those recommendations have been received at the White House? How do you make sure they're not just, thanks for the idea, guys, and everybody goes on about business as usual?
Well, just a slight edit to what you said. We didn't call for decoupling the economies, but we did talk about resetting the trade relationship, preventing capital and technology and know-how from going from the United States into entities that could modernize the PLA's military or perpetrate human rights abuses. And then finally, investing in our own workforce and our capabilities to innovate on technologies of the future. We actually involved many stakeholders in our own discussions to make sure that they had a say, they had input into what we were doing, and that includes the administration. That also includes, by the way, committees of jurisdiction in the House that would actually originate some of the legislation that we were proposing. So we're trying to reflect a broad group of stakeholders here.
All right, Congressman Krishnamurthy representing today one of the most bipartisan committees in town. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Garrett.